In a quiet Midwestern town, surrounded by endless cornfields and winding country roads, lived a boy named Michael. He came from a humble family, a family built on hard work, small joys, and a love that held them together through every season. Michael's father, a former soldier, was a strong, disciplined man. He didn't say much, but when he spoke, every word mattered. He taught Michael the values of integrity, resilience, and grit. His older brother Daniel was 6 years his senior, and everything Michael aspired to be. Daniel was adventurous, funny, and kind. The kind of big brother who would sneak Michael into football games, teach him to throw a perfect spiral, and talk about his dream of traveling across the United States in an old pickup truck. For Michael, life was simple and beautiful. Summer afternoons were spent in the garage, helping his father repair the family's aging truck. Evenings were spent on the porch, listening to Daniel strum his guitar under the fading sun, talking about dreams bigger than their small town. Michael never imagined that his world could change in an instant, but it did. One bitterly cold winter evening, Michael's father suffered a sudden heart attack. He passed away before help could arrive. Michael was only 17. He had lost his rock, the man who had guided him through every step of his young life. The house, once filled with warmth and laughter, suddenly felt unbearably silent. As if that loss wasn't enough, only a few months later, tragedy struck again. Daniel, the brother who had been Michael's hero and best friend, died in a car accident on a rain-slicked highway. Within a single year, Michael had lost both the men he loved most. The grief was suffocating. Michael drifted into darkness. He stopped caring about school, stopped meeting friends, stopped living. Every corner of the house was a painful reminder. The truck in the garage, the guitar leaning against the wall. Every object carried memories that cut deeper than any blade. People whispered that Michael would never recover, that life had dealt him a hand too cruel to overcome. For a while, they were right. Michael sank into despair. But then, something stirred inside him. One night, while sitting alone in his room, he remembered his father's words. "Son, life will hit you harder than you expect. What matters isn't how many times you fall, but how many times you get back up." He could almost hear his father's steady voice, see his serious eyes. And he remembered Daniel's laughter, his restless energy, and the way he once told Michael, "Don't waste your time being afraid, little brother. Live big, live bold. That's the only way to honor the time we've been given." Those memories lit a spark in Michael's heart. He realized he had two choices: let grief bury him forever, or stand up and carry forward the love his father and brother had poured into him. So, step by step, Michael began to climb out of the darkness. At first, it was small. He went back to school. He picked up a basketball again, a sport Daniel had loved, and practiced every day, sometimes until his hands were blistered and his legs ached. On the court, he felt his brother's spirit beside him, urging him to push harder. The game wasn't just about winning anymore. It was about honoring Daniel's memory, proving to himself that he was still alive, still capable of growth. Over time, Michael rebuilt his focus. He graduated and chose to study psychology in college. He wanted to understand grief, not just his own, but the pain carried silently by others. In class, he found himself deeply listening to people's stories, realizing that everyone, no matter how strong they seemed, had wounds hidden beneath the surface. The more Michael learned, the more he discovered empathy. His own loss, though crushing, gave him the ability to connect with others in a way few could. Outside of academics, Michael volunteered with community organizations. He joined support groups for young people who had lost parents or siblings. At first, he was hesitant to share. He didn't want pity. But when he finally told his story, something remarkable happened. Others opened up too. His vulnerability gave them courage. One evening, after sharing about losing his father and brother, a 14-year-old boy came up to him, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "Because of you, I believe I can keep going after losing my mum. I thought my life was over, but now I know it's not." That moment changed Michael forever. He realized his pain had a purpose. His brokenness was no longer just a scar. It was a bridge, a way to help others cross their own rivers of grief. Years passed, and Michael transformed into someone his younger self could never have imagined. He became a counselor, working with families and teenagers struggling with loss. He stood on stages as a motivational speaker, sharing his journey not to seek sympathy, but to ignite hope. His talks often began with a simple truth. I lost my father and my brother within a single year. For a long time, I thought my life was over, but I learned something. Love doesn't disappear when someone dies. It changes form. It becomes part of who you are, and with that love, you can rebuild. Audiences leaned in, many with tears streaming down their faces. His honesty cut through the noise of everyday life. His courage reminded people that even in the darkest seasons, there is always a reason to keep moving forward. Michael never forgot his grief. He didn't pretend the pain was gone. He still kept his father's old truck, still strummed Daniel's guitar from time to time, but instead of reminders of loss, they became symbols of resilience, proof that love lives on in memory and action. He learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing to live fully, carrying those we've lost within us, allowing their love to shape the way we love others. Michael's story spread across newspapers, social media, and television. People who had never met him felt moved by his journey. He became a symbol of the American spirit, the belief that no matter how devastating the blow, we can rise again with strength, faith, and hope. Because in the end, tragedy did not define Michael. His response did. He turned his heartbreak into a mission, his wounds into wisdom, his loss into light. And in doing so, he inspired countless others to believe that even in the cruelest winters of life, spring will come again.